I've been thinking about what prerequisites you need to have to actually enjoy playing video games. Do you need to be running the latest and greatest computer hardware? Do you need to have a massive 4K TV that can support up to 120 Hz? Do you need to have modern consoles with SSD storage? Do you need to have games that are so big it takes you over 60 hours to finish just the story? Are all these things really necessary to have an absolutely amazing time? Well, if you've seen my Xbox 360 video, you probably know that that's not entirely true. See, spending more on something doesn't exactly translate one-to-one to how much fun you're going to have. I have a question for you. How much video game fun do you think you can get for $50? See, in a previous video on the Xbox 360, I learned that a higher price doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get more fun. In this video, I want to see just how much fun I can get for just $50, and that's $50 US. For my fellow Australians, that's $75 Australian, and for my friends over in the UK, that's 40 quid. There are some rules to this challenge though. Whatever we get needs to be a great balance of graphics and gameplay and gimmicks. This means I need to get a reasonably reliable console with awesome games and an accessory to suit it. Now, I originally considered a GameCube, but it turns out I'm running out of organs to sell on the black market. So obviously I settled on this Xbox 360E instead. And look, I'm not gonna lie, I got a bloody good deal. So it was sold to me by a woman. She was selling this and some other video game things left over by her son who had recently moved out. And he didn't care for it, he didn't want it, and she couldn't tell me if it worked or not, so she was happy to part with it for $20. And I took the deal, of course. And there was one drawback. The joysticks on the controller looked like this. Believe it or not though, this controller was actually perfectly usable. And by the way, since we're talking about saving money and efficiency, this little Xbox 360E beast has a power draw that's no higher than 75 watt, and that's actually half of the original Xbox 360 console. We are $20 down and we have $55 to go. This little TV you see here, well, I got it for free. It's a 4:3 ratio screen and it's very small, but it does have a HDMI port and games actually look pretty good on it. And look, the TV wasn't part of the challenge. I just seen it and thought I'm going to grab it. The main reason I got it is it actually has component input, which I used on the PS2 video. I'll put the link in the description to that one. CEX came to the rescue for me on a few games. I picked up Rage for $2 and just look how gorgeous this game is. I also picked up Pure for $3, which is a Disney-made game. Can you believe that? It's awesome fun, though. I got Need for Speed Hot Pursuit for $3, which is a perfect return to form for Criterion until they kind of dropped the ball a bit with Most Wanted. And I also got Midnight Club LA for $12, which, it's Midnight Club. It's Midnight Club, what else can I say? So that meant I spent another $20 on games, bringing us down to $35. So for $40 Australian, I could pretty happily call it a day. But there's still the issue of the accessory I need to get. But before we get to that, I wanted to call in a friend to talk about an awesome feature the Xbox 360 has, and that is backwards compatibility. See, I have no experience with playing original Xbox games on the Xbox 360, at least not yet. So I called on this guy to give me a hand.
What is up, YouTube? Retro Ranger asked me for my top 5-ish OG Xbox games that was backwards compatible with the Xbox 360. So now a lot of people know I'm a huge Xbox fan. What? I love all consoles, but Xbox really has a good place in my heart. And it was one of the few consoles that, you know, started actually branching out and doing backwards compatibility. Now I know the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 did it, but Nintendo was swapping everything up. They were changing disc size with the GameCube. They were doing some goofy stuff, and, you know, they still are not making it backwards compatible. But here's a couple of games that I absolutely loved playing on the Xbox 360 that was originally released on the original Xbox. And obviously the first one we got to talk about is Halo. Everybody loved Halo. I remember getting it for Christmas, playing through it with my cousin in like 2 days, and then going through and playing through it again. We loved it so much. It was such a great game, and the twist halfway through where it turned from war shooter to a horror shooter, it was insane. It's a franchise that even to this day is still around, even though it's kind of lost its zest, it's lost its prime. It's still a great game. And I remember having the Xbox 360 and still playing the Halo. I think it was the anniversary one that they had released on the 360. Yeah, this was crazy. This was crazy. So Grand Theft Auto really took off when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out. So when San Andreas and Vice City were released on the original Xbox, we all loved it. And it had a cool feature where if you downloaded music onto your OG Xbox, you could actually play it on one of the radio stations as you were driving the car around. So now when the Xbox 360 came out, it was such a cool feature to be able to play some of those older OG Xbox games. Nobody ever talks about how amazing backwards compatibility used to be. So that way, if you bought the newer console and you could still play your older games, you didn't have to sell them. You know, if you got rid of that old console to try and get you money for your new one, you didn't have to. So we can go back and play your original Grand Theft Autos way later on, even when Grand Theft Auto 4, I believe, was released on the Xbox 360, and you could still play the other ones. It was so awesome to have, and I love that game series. I don't play it as much as I used to. It's kind of lost, once again, kind of lost its zest to me, but it was a great game to have and be able to play pretty much on any console. Going on, oh man. I'm a huge Elder Scrolls fan, and I can't talk about the Xbox 360 without talking about Oblivion. But we're talking about OG Xbox games, and no game on the OG Xbox, to a lot of people, and even myself, was better than Morrowind, especially in the RPG sense. Basically just getting dropped off in the middle of a huge world where everything you do can affect other stuff. If you kill random people, you'll get that little message in the top screen that says, that whatever you did has altered the course of time or the game, and you basically have to go back and reload a save if you want to continue on with the regular story. There was so much side quests to do with all the other different guilds, and it was an absolutely massive environment. I think it was one of those things at the time that only the OG Xbox was able to handle besides a PC. And what better thing to do than be able to play it on the Xbox 360, guys? Absolutely loved that game. Going on now, we're gonna keep talking about these RPGs. That's the rest of the video is RPGs, just so you guys know. But Fable. So we had Fable 2 and 3 released on the Xbox 360, and then I think there was an anniversary collection released on the 362, which is basically just a revamp of Fable 1 with the DLC or the extra stuff they made later on. But yeah, if you didn't have to buy that anniversary one if you already had the OG one. So I loved playing Fable, and it was awesome, once again to have the 360 and have the backwards compatibility to play the original Fable on it as well. And lastly, we can't talk about Xbox and Star Wars, really, without talking about Knights of the Old Republic. So this was amazing to have. These games, oh man, you could spend hours and hours and hours in this. And like I've said in videos on my own channel and stuff like that, there was no RPGs in this day and age. So when Knights of the Old Republic was released 1 and 2, and it was Star Wars, as a lot of people know, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. My youngest, and his name is Anakin. And I have a corner over here that's just dedicated to Star Wars decorations and stuff like that. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Having that as an RPG form on the OG Xbox and then still being able to play that on the Xbox 360 was amazing. And that is one franchise I wish would come back. They need to release a Knights of the Old Republic 3. I know that they released later on a PC, I think online multiplayer game, but I would love to see a single player campaign released in the same format as that. If they could do it like Baldur's Gate 3, but with Star Wars, freaking amazing. Thank you, Retro Ranger, for having me on your channel, man. Thank you so much for doing this. And yeah, I pulled up the backwards compatibility list on Wikipedia. I scowled through there and I was amazed at really how many OG Xbox games were backwards compatible with the 360. Like I said earlier, they don't do this enough nowadays. I really wish this would come back and do a thing. Come back and do a thing. What am I even talking about? Stop making your consoles not backwards compatible, companies. Thank you guys. As always, stay retro, my friends, and we'll see you later.
Now I'm going to put Iowa Retro Gamer Dad's channel link in the description. Do me a favor, go check him out. He's a great guy. So, what accessory did I get? Well, the accessory that I got was this Xbox 360 racing wheel. Now, as you can see, the price on the ad here says $75, but I actually got it for less. The $75 was for that wheel and another wheel that the seller was selling for the PlayStation 3. So, how much did I get this wheel for? I actually got it for $40. Yes, $40, meaning I went $5 over budget. Given that I already bought all those games, I wasn't going to take one of them back or a couple of them back to save the money and stay within the boundaries of the challenge. So yes, I guess I kind of failed. But I still want to see how much fun we can have. I hooked up the wheel and holy crap, I've never used one of these wheels before. I have used the Logitech G25, 27 and 29, so I know exactly what the force feedback is for. But this wheel for $40 is incredible fun. It feels good, it feels responsive. Playing the games like you can see here, it felt natural, and I could maintain really nice smooth drive lines while playing with this wheel. It's not the best construction, it's definitely a very arcadey feel, but I'm totally okay with that. So when it's all said and done, and I've spent $80 Australian on this, did I actually get a really good deal? Did I actually get a lot of fun here for the $80 I spent? And if I'm being completely honest, I actually got a heck of a lot more fun than I thought I was going to get. The Xbox 360e is, this particular one, is in good condition. It's running very well. And another thing is the Xbox 360 wheel is wireless and it connects just like an Xbox 360 controller, which I think is a really cool feature. For $80, I've got a lot of gaming fun here to be had if I'm willing to make the compromise of questionable frame rates and some jaggies when it comes to the graphics. But I got to be honest, as time goes on, graphics don't really make a difference to me. And if the game starts to slow down occasionally in the frame rate, it doesn't really bother me anymore. And it's almost like the fun the game is providing, especially games from this particular generation, is just too good that it just doesn't really matter. I've never been an ultra competitive gamer. I haven't sat on the computer with a mouse and keyboard playing online for hours on end, but sitting back and playing a console casually, playing games like Midnight Club LA, where you can customize your car and race it using the wheel, that's incredibly satisfying. Yes, I could go download the game on the computer and use my Logitech G29 and have a very similar experience, or better because the graphics are sharper, but I don't care. On the 360 is just fine. I actually had a really good time playing it, and I want to play it some more. And now I found myself in a really big pickle because I've got a lot of games, especially the games that Iowa Retro Gamer Dad has recommended, that I want to play. And man, I don't know if I've got enough life left in me to finish them all. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. My name is Danny. Appreciate your time. Take care. Bye.